Welcome to The Explainer. If you're a boiler engineer, operator, or a maintenance pro, you know all too well that sometimes the smallest components can cause the absolute biggest headaches. Well, today we're diving deep into one of those, the steam trap. Yeah, they might be small, but trust me, their impact on your system's efficiency and safety is massive.
So let's start with a sound I'm sure every single plant operator dreads, that violent banging sound in the pipes. It's usually coupled with process temps that just refuse to get where you need them, and energy bills that look like they're going straight to the moon. So what is really going on inside your system?
Well, the enemies of any efficient steam system are usually these two right here. First, when steam does its job and transfers all that energy, it turns back into water. We call that condensate. And second, you've got air and other gases that just won't condense. If you don't get this stuff out and get it out fast, you are in for some serious trouble.
Just take a look at this. When that condensate starts to pull up inside your equipment, like in this heat exchanger, it basically acts as an insulator. You know, steam is an absolute rock star at transferring heat. We're talking about 1,000 BTUs per pound as it condenses. But that water just sitting there, it's blocking the whole process, completely crippling your system's capacity.
And believe me, it gets worse. That big slug of condensate gets picked up by high-velocity steam, and that's what creates water hammer. It becomes a literal tidal wave crashing through your pipes, slamming into fittings and valves with enough force to cause some catastrophic damage.
So how do we fight back against all this condensate and air? Well, we turn to the unsung hero of the steam system. It's a little device that just works tirelessly, often completely unnoticed, to keep everything running the way it should, safely and efficiently.
Now, its job sounds pretty simple on paper, but it is absolutely critical. At its core, it's just a self-contained automatic valve. Its entire reason for being is to be smart enough to drain all the waste, that's the condensate and air, while keeping the valuable live steam right where you want it.
You know, for any steam trap to do its job, I don't care what the design is, it has to master these three core functions. It has to get rid of condensate the second it forms. It has to vent out all the air and other junk, and, this is the most important part, it has to prevent any of that live steam from escaping. That is its whole mission.
All right, let's get into the hardware. We're going to start with the first big category, mechanical traps. And these things operate on a simple but, incredibly elegant physical principle.
The real genius of these traps is how they use a fundamental law of physics, density. See, liquid water is over 1,000 times denser than steam. 1,000 times! It's this huge difference that lets a simple float mechanism reliably tell the two apart. Pretty clever, right?
Now, within this mechanical family, you're mostly going to find two workhorse designs out there in the field. The float and thermostatic trap, you'll hear it called an F&T, and the classic inverted bucket trap. Okay, first up, the F&T trap. As you can see, the way it works is super intuitive. As condensate fills up the body, that sealed float right there rises up, kind of like a bobber on a fishing line. That lifting motion opens up a valve, and that allows for this really smooth, continuous drainage whenever there's condensate present. Now, the inverted bucket trap, that one works differently. It works in cycles. So when steam comes in, it gets caught underneath this upside-down bucket. This makes the bucket buoyant, so it floats up and shuts the valve. But check out that little vent hole at the top. That lets the trapped steam slowly bleed out. As it does, condensate fills the bucket, it gets heavy, it sinks, and bam! It yanks the discharge valve wide open.
All right, let's shift gears from the mechanical designs. The next two types use totally different physical principles to get the job done. We're moving away from density and into the worlds of temperature and, well, fluid dynamics.
So here you can see the two really distinct approaches. Over on the left, you've got thermostatic traps, and they're all about sensing the temperature difference between hot steam and cooler condensate. And on the right, you have thermodynamic traps, which cleverly use the difference in speed and pressure between steam and water. A super common thermostatic trap uses what's called a bimetallic element. It's really just two different kinds of metal bonded together. So when hot steam hits it, the metals expand at different rates, which causes the whole thing to bend and push the valve closed. Then, as cooler condensate flows in, the element straightens back out, pulling the valve open again. It's a really simple but effective design.
Thermodynamic traps are just masters of simplicity. A lot of them have just one moving part, a disc. Slower moving condensate can easily just lift that disc up and drain right out. But the magic happens when hot condensate passes through and a little bit of it flashes into steam.
This super high-speed flash steam creates a low-pressure zone under the disk, while at the same time building pressure in the chamber above it. That pressure difference is what snaps the disk shut. Okay, so to really get how that last trap works, we have to talk about flash steam. Now, this is not live steam from your boiler. This is hot, pressurized condensate that instantly re-evaporates the second it hits a lower pressure area. And it's the force of this flash steam that actually powers the cycling of a thermodynamic trap.
So there you have it. Those are the three main pillars of steam trap technology. And if you're getting something useful out of this explainer, do us a favor and hit that like button. And hey, drop a comment below and let us know what's the most common type of trap you run into in your plant.
Okay, now that we know how these things are supposed to work, let's get real and talk about what happens when they fail, because they do. And let me be clear, a failed trap isn't just a maintenance headache, it's a direct and often really significant hit to your bottom line.
Failures pretty much always fall into one of these three buckets. First, you've got stuck open, which is like an open fire hose of live steam blowing straight to your condensate return, costing you an absolute fortune. Second is stuck closed, which backs up all that condensate, leading to water hammer and production problems. And finally, you've got the sneaky one, leaking, which is just a silent but steady drain on your energy budget.
So what's causing all these failures? Well, the number one enemy, hands down, is dirt. We're talking rust, scale, even too much pipe dope from installation. Any little piece of debris in the system can get lodged in that valve seat and cause it to fail. This is why system cleanliness and a proper install are everything. And of course, even in a perfect world, you've just got normal wear and tear over thousands and thousands of cycles.
And this diagram right here shows you the best defense against a trap dying an early death. A huge percentage of failed traps can be traced right back to a bad installation. A proper setup, like this one, with a strainer placed just before the trap, is absolutely critical. That strainer is like the trap's personal bodyguard, protecting its sensitive guts and making sure it can give you years of reliable service.
And that really brings us to a final, crucial question. You know, a trap that fails closed, it usually announces itself with loud, immediate problems. But a trap failing open or just leaking, that can be completely silent, invisibly siphoning thousands of dollars in energy costs right out of your budget year after year. So the real question you have to ask is, how many of those silent failures are costing you money right now?
Thanks so much for watching this deep dive into steam traps. We really hope you found it useful. For more explainers designed to help engineers and operators like you run safer, more efficient systems, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this with your colleagues. It really helps us out. Talk to you on the next one.